Hello, everybody, and welcome to Atheist Sunday School, your one-stop shop for everything Atheist Sunday and school. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today we are covering Zephaniah with Landon Noll.
Yeah, we got Landon Noll here.
Yeah, woo!
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on your time zone latitude, from your friendly secular astronomer. And I hope folks are doing well. We've got an action-packed show today for this book, which probably got stuck in the middle of the scrolls and no one noticed it, and it kind of got decided it was God's word. Someone didn't sit there and say how silly is this stuff, but yes, we have this more wrath on Judah. I mean, boy, as is it out in for Judah.
Absolutely, as is tradition. Now this so two things. One, we're also giving away a T-shirt today.
Yep, we are.
Yeah, we got a spinny wheelie today. So if you are a patron of $10 or more, you get entered into a monthly T-shirt giveaway, and this is one of them.
Like this.
Exactly.
See?
Just like that one. And I think that's a great T-shirt. We got some other T-shirts as well that you can win.
Check that out here.
Yeah.
And just to make sure, I don't know if I changed it since the last time. But once we check the people that are on the actual wheel, how many people we got on there? Is it 4 or 5? Once
Five.
Perfect. Okay, great. So yeah, that's all good.
So each of them should have a 20% chance of winning.
That is how that works. Yeah. All right. So I think let's
Spinny wheelie.
Wheelie, thingy, round.
And we gotta have Chris tell us. Michael, you will be the proud owner of a Milwaukee Atheist piece of merchandise. You're gonna love it. You should treasure it always.
You should, especially when it gets to you.
Yeah.
And and besides that, they have put a lot of effort into these T-shirts. I'm not winning as often, so they don't have to make as many new ones. But I do recommend the He is Risen, the Helium is Risen balloon thing. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's a top-notch T-shirt. I wonder who thought of that one.
Yeah, we also have to thank Landon for the books that came in.
Yeah, absolutely. Just got those in.
Yep.
I'm sure Ruben's going to enjoy them.
Yep.
There are more books on the way.
Wow.
Excellent. Well, my birthday's in 2 days, so that's a good birthday present.
Yeah. So you have that magical birthday thing happening. Well, it's not so magical. It's just a historical fact. But the thing that's really great is that your age is a perfect number.
Oh.
So if you take the number, if you add the divisors less than itself together, it equals the number, right? And the next one is 496. So enjoy this one. This perfect number, because it's gonna last you for a while. So,
I will.
Is that for him? Because I'm turning 30.
Yeah, Chris is
30.
Chris is going over the hill.
That's what. See, I told you there was a phrase for that.
I think at this point in our lives, we're all going over the hill.
If you say so.
That's right, Chris. You have the same birthday.
They have the same birthday, but it's just
we have
years
the same
apart. Yeah.
Birth.
30. Now 30 is
minute.
30 is an important number because it is necessary to become 31, and 31 is a really cool prime number.
Wow.
So become 31. So
Thanks.
So Chris, enjoy your 30th birthday coming up as well, because it's going to be a year leading up to that 31. Because I'm 61. I just turned 61, and that's a prime, and 2 to the power minus 1. That one is also 2 to that power minus 1 is prime. So 2 to the 31st month. So that's why you want to become 31, because the next one you have to wait till my age, 61.
Oh, I see.
To get it. So enjoy your 30th, because that's the stepping stone to 31.
Yeah, guys, come on. You got to enjoy all your math milestones.
Yes.
So Today we're covering Zephaniah. I have the King James Version of the Bible.
I have the English Standard Version of the Bible.
We also have the Hebrew Bible, a translation with commentary by Robert Alter.
We have Erdman's commentary on the Bible. We have the Old Testament survey.
We have the Septuagint.
We do have the Septuagint. Yeah, it's over here.
Yeah, we also have the Holy Scriptures, according to some Jews, and the New King James Version of the Bible.
And
There's
Landon,
even a T-shirt related to that, and I have the New American Standard Bible, a reference edition, A.J. Holman Company, division of J.B. Lipcott Company. That's important because if they're Philadelphia and New York things, and it is copyright 1973 Lockman Foundation. Apparently, God didn't get the copyright of this thing. The Lockman Foundation, I guess, took their copyright, or maybe God sold it to the Lockman Foundation. I'm not sure.
perhaps he should sue.
For 30 pieces of silver.
That's the perfect amount you should sue for.
Yep. So, Lawrence,
Yeah,
why don't you tell us about the book of Zephaniah?
I will. So, you know how after reading all these other prophets, we've pretty much come to a realization that they share a lot of the same motifs, right?
Yes.
So they have here's some oracles of woe. Here's some oracles of doom. All the stuff that you think of when you think of prophecy in the Bible, like the more general ideas. That's all Zephaniah. Zephaniah is the most stereotypical prophet that we have read or that we will read this far into the text. It pretty much there's so little that's actually unique about this. Like there are according to the commentaries that I've looked over, even the textual transmission itself hasn't been really all that different. Like it's really well preserved, and apparently the Masoretic text is really close to the Septuagint text as well. So it's, even though they're different languages, but the translation fits pretty much the same. So it's in terms of textual variation, there's really not that much. There's a few things that we can talk about when we get there. And there's like one kind of interesting thing about the introduction. But other than that, it's a very stereotypical book.
That would explain why I've never heard a single person say anything about the book of Zephaniah.
Zephaniah is a book in the Bible. Hey, I did it. I proved it wrong.
Yep.
Wow, amazing.
There you go.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing insight.
Yeah.
Get wrecked,
This is why you
Ruben.
want to subscribe to the show, because where else are you going to get insights like that?
Yeah, right.
God,
No, I'm willing to bet that a lot of people don't even know that. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm guessing that
That's
most
painful.
people don't make it this far.
Well,
You're told
no,
to skip past
definitely
it
not.
still, obviously.
Yeah, they start in John. So
maybe they know that it exists because it's in indexes and stuff.
And also, I've heard of Zephaniah in all these lineages. He gets brought up.
are you sure
Well,
you've
we've
heard
had-
of Zephaniah, or have you heard of Zechariah?
Yeah,
I've
because
heard
some
of
people
both.
get the two confused.
Yeah,
When we used to have in Bible camp the Bible drills where someone would call it a verse, and you had to see how rapidly you could find it in the Bible. Picking something like Zephaniah or Zechariah or something could threw people off because they have to find a little tiny thing in the middle of all this stuff.
So that's how you get away with trolling at Bible camp.
Yep.
Absolutely. Oh, there's all kinds of things you can. Oh, there's plenty of verses to troll people by.
Yeah.
I like that the Toyota Corolla of prophets. Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. So
Good. Well done.
So I could talk a little bit about the date and stuff.
yeah, tell us about the textual history, the origins, who is Zephaniah? Does he know things? What does he know?
Let's
find
find
out.
So aside from stuff in the very first, in the introductory paragraph, I guess, there's not much that we know except for maybe the setting that he was under. So usually, you know how when we meet a prophet for the first time, there's a brief lineage. They're like, here's a prophet, son of this guy, who got prophecy from the Lord.
That happens sometimes, and I see that it's a little more in depth here in the first verse.
Yes, it goes longer than the other ones. Usually they go up to 3. This one goes up to 4, and that fourth one is Hezekiah. Now that's in the versions that we have here, although there is some textual variation here. The Syriac and actually a few Hebrew manuscripts actually have Hilkiah instead of Hezekiah, which are very different.
And that's weird because mine doesn't say either. In the KJV, it says Hezekiah, or actually Hizkiah.
Oh. Well, I don't know if that's just a spelling thing or what that is, but that's
I'm pretty sure that Hezekiah was Hezekiah elsewhere.
Probably.
Yeah.
So when of course, if you remember, Hezekiah was, there were 2 like really good last kings of Judah, right? You had Hezekiah, who would restore things. Then there came along Manasseh. Manasseh was all like, no, screw all the changes you're trying to make. And then after Manasseh, I think there was another one in there. But after Manasseh, then you had Josiah, and you finally have Josiah's reforms. Now, Hezekiah did what was good in the sight of the Lord, except he also didn't take down the high places.
Oh, no.
High places that keep, what's the... Now, didn't the other guy take down the high places, or at least try to purge them and people hid them away?
Josiah took down the high places, but Hezekiah, I don't think he did. But he was approaching doing good stuff. So he was a reformer. He was trying to go for reform there. And then Hilkiah, on the other hand, is the priest who found effectively the Book of the Law in the temple. If you guys remember that, and that's to be we've pretty much figured out that's supposed to be Deuteronomy. So Hilkiah is the priest who found that. So the 2 very different people, obviously, Hilkiah and Hezekiah, not the same person. They do completely different things.
Yeah.
And Hizkiah.
Hizkiah as well.
Hezekiah.
No, see, it's halfway between Hezekiah and Hilkiah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like in Dragon Ball Z when they do their fusion dance, and then they go to be like Gogeta or Gotenks, or this is what happens when Hilkiah and Hezekiah fuse together into one being. Yeah. It becomes Hizkiah.
Yeah, that's it. You got it.
And if they do a good job in the fusion, then they are twice as strong.
Yep.
Or something.
Yep.
So yeah, let's talk about when this is supposed to take place. So this is, I think it's supposed to take place a little bit before the time of Jeremiah. So the unusually long genealogy, the norm is 1 or 2 generations, suggests that the last name is of special significance. So we talked about that one. Hezekiah would make sense there. Moreover, the prophet's full name, Zephaniah ben Cushi, is noteworthy because in usual Hebrew parlance, Cushi means African or Cushite, Ethiopian, and prefixed with the word ben, son or child of, suggests an African heritage. The name Zephaniah represents a combination of the divine name prefaced with a form of the Hebrew word whose meaning is hide or protect. Thus, Yahweh protects. The rest of what we know about Zephaniah ben Cushi must be gleaned from the content of his preaching. So he has a knowledge of the city, its temple rites, its hierarchy. He has a concern and compassion for the citizens, of course, would make sense. Zephaniah must have been a Jerusalemite with connections to its temple and the royal family. That's essentially where it ends. He does talk about he's very closely connected to the temple and stuff that's going on there.
Yeah.
So he's a figure of authority, you could say. yeah, the descriptions in here are pretty much all showing you how similar it is to the other books. So I'm not really going to spend too much time on it. There's really nothing, aside from it being a poem, there's really nothing special about it. Like, it's all in poetic form, so it doesn't really have any of the prose that sometimes we see in the prophets. So Zephaniah's ministry, therefore, is best located in the city of Jerusalem at the very beginning of Josiah's Deuteronomic reform movement, approximately 630 and 620 BCE, close in time to the prophet Nahum's oracles celebrating the fall of Nineveh in 612, because there's a reference to that. Given the vivid descriptions of the sins being condemned and the single-minded earnestness of Zephaniah's proclamation of the devastating day of the Lord, it appeared likely that this preaching preceded the full implementation of the reforms and indeed may have helped to inspire and guide the direction of the sought-for changes for Jerusalem and Judah. Josiah's father, Ammon, 642 to 640, was killed in a palace coup. Josiah himself was placed on the throne by the people of the land when he was only 8 years old. And then you have the discovery of the Book of the Law in the 18th year of his reign. Yeah, in the 18th year of his reign, its authentication, and its promulgation. The reform began in 621 BCE. So
I like how Landon's just trying random commands in the chat to see if they do anything.
giving it a shot, I guess. That's good.
I did provoke it a little with some stuff Landon has not yet tried.
I'm just giving you some hints as to things that might be doable. Anyway, but please carry on. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
It's
all
fun.
good. It's all good.
It's fun.
I mean, that's basically everything in the survey, isn't it? I mean, there's not much to say, right?
It's a bit short.
It's
There'll be some commentary. There'll be some commentary during it.
I mean, there's
a little more.
There is a little bit more on the actual textual transmission. So we talked about how it's generally fine throughout the versions. How there's generally the same, not really too many big differences, aside from the one that we noted there. I think there might be some stuff at the very end there, but let me just hit on these couple points here. You get a lot of like the Day of the Lord stuff too. So it's about like the coming judgment, right? So that's another thing that we see that is exactly the same as all the other prophets we've talked about.
Now, Anthony Gelston in Eerdman's commentary on the Bible says that the dating in the reign of Josiah has been widely accepted. Most commentators think that the picture of Judean society reflected in the prophecy is consonant with the earlier parts of Josiah's reign before his reforms, while the prophet's own stance is sympathetic with that of the reform movement. Such a dating is consistent with the prediction of the fall of Nineveh in 213, an event which occurred in 612 BC, toward the end of Josiah's reign. We are, therefore, in a better position to determine the historical context of Zephaniah than that of a number of prophets, but have still to be content with general probabilities rather than with certainties. The exegesis of Zephaniah is complicated by three further factors in the literary form of the book itself. One is the difficulty of disentangling what might be the original message of the prophet from later editions. In this case, the final form of the book is so closely woven that there's been little agreement among modern interpreters in distinguishing earlier forms of some of its contents. This in turn leads to a further difficulty in delineating the sections into which the book is divided, beyond the obvious collection of sayings against other nations in 2:4 through 15. Finally, there are a number of textual and lexical obscurities which make the interpretation uncertain at some crucial points.
Yeah, so those were the ones that I was going to hit on really quickly, aside from the one that we covered before.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems to be very similar to so you have the Masoretic, the Septuagint, the Dead Sea Scrolls fragments for it. They're all generally pretty consistent, except for just a few here. The few difficulties that do occur for the translator and interpreter of the Hebrew texts are, for the most part, due to a lost or obscure meaning of a Hebrew word or a corruption of the text because of scribal or transmission errors. A literal translation of the Masoretic text behind Zephaniah 3:18, for example, does not make much sense. The NIV attempts to stay close to the Masoretic text in its translation of 3:18, with an alternative reading placed in its note on this verse. We get that quite a bit. The NRSV follows the Septuagint and the Syriac version of the Old Testament, opening this verse with the final line of 3:17c as indicated in the notes. Other examples of these two approaches in the NIV and NRSV to obscure texts in Zephaniah are to be found in the treatment of Zephaniah 1:4b and 3:17b, which we'll get to. I mean, hopefully Alter covers those. He's usually pretty good about covering stuff that's obscure.
Yeah, he is.
So hopefully we'll get there.
But there's also commentary in here.
Is
That's
Robert
true.
Alter still alive?
I think so. This is a very recent book.
Pretty sure.
Oh,
Pretty sure he's still around.
does a good job. How's that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd appreciate that.
Maybe we should get him on the show
That'd be really
for
interesting.
the New Testament.
That'd be very
because
interesting.
He doesn't have a translation with commentary of the New Testament.
I don't think he does. But anyways, yeah, that is the commentary from the Old Testament survey on that.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, why waste time with the Bible? It's such a joke. I mean, you're not really gonna. This show is mostly. I mean, it's geared towards atheists, I would say. Although plenty of Christians do watch it. Like the reason
we might even have some Jews that watch it.
Well, that too, yeah. So it's geared towards gaining a secular understanding of these writings, because the thing is, whether or not we like it, these texts have existed for a very long time. Super influential works, like that's just undoubtable, right? Like you just can't. That's just a fact. The amount of stuff that has been fought over for these texts alone.
Oh, and the cultural ramifications of these texts are innumerable.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is, you're not going to understand these texts if you don't study them. And the thing is, I don't expect everyone to be learning ancient languages to understand it, which is part of the reason why.
No, you should.
I mean, you could. That would help you, but it's not always worth it if that's not your thing, right?
If there's a dead language out there, you should learn it.
You got to keep it alive.
Bring it back. Bring back the dead language.
We've got to all start speaking Latin from now on.
We could.
But again, I think part of the thing is that it is a book that has had and is having significant impact on society, and one of the things if it's something you don't like, at least understand what it is you don't like rather than just be clueless of this. So this is part of the reason why I think this show is so important, is that you get a in-depth look at the Bible, its history and related items, so you at least understand what it is, right? If you're going to, let's say, oppose what this book stands for, what people claim it stands for, at least know what the book is to consider, as opposed to just having a knee-jerk reaction of saying I don't like it.
Yeah. Because that's not going to get you anywhere with anybody. So
I don't like it.
Besides which, it's highly influential in the world of literature.
that too.
So if you're into fiction, pop culture, or anything, then covering the materials that are in the Bible can help with your interpretation of different forms of literature and see, different things that pop up there.
Yeah.
Or
absolutely.
film
Since we started,
or television.
Since we started doing this, it's been one show after another when I try to watch media that has, like I said, innumerable amount of influences. I can't even describe it any other way. It's definitely from here.
Yeah, it's like I recognize these things.
Oh, where did that come from? It's from the Bible again, usually. And
Yeah.
also, if you watch Jeopardy, you'll get a little better. Because
Yeah.
honestly, they ask quite a lot of Bible questions. It's a very common category. How's that?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
There's
what
so much you can cover.
should I just start reading Zephaniah?
Oh, you could.
You know what?
could do that.
Take it away.
All right, the book of Zephaniah, chapter 1. The word of the Lord, which came unto Zephaniah, the son of Cushi, the son of Gedaliah, the son of Amariah, the son of Hizkiah, in the days of Josiah, the son of Ammon, king of Judah. I will utterly consume all things from off the land, saith the Lord. I will consume man and beast. I will consume the fowls of the heaven, and the fishes of the sea, and the stumbling blocks with the wicked, and I will cut off man from off the land, saith the Lord.
So there's already quite a bit there. Now yours says consume.
Yes.
Alter translates it as sweep away. A nicer way of saying consume, I guess.
But the idea is to destroy.
Yeah.
I will also stretch out mine hand upon Judah, and upon all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and I will cut off the remnant of Baal from this place, and the name of the Chemarim with the priests.
Ooh, okay.
Tell me about the Chemarim.
I'll tell you about some stuff here. And I will reach out my hand against Judah and against all who dwell in Jerusalem, and I will cut off from this place the remnant of Baal, the name of the pagan priests with the priests.
Okay, so the Chemarim are like the people of Chem, right? Like.
So here's a note on it. So the two
definitely makes sense.
The two Hebrew, and this is one of the verses where we have like an unclear reading.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good that Alter has this. The two Hebrew words Sha'ar and Shem, remnant and name, are and I always have trouble pronouncing this word. Hendiadis. I'm not sure how to pronounce it 100%. Hendiadis, perhaps, meaning, quote, any remnant at all. And they appear here in the two versets in what scholars call a breakup pattern. That explains the slight oddness of the name of the pagan priests. The term for pagan priests, Chemarim, designates celebrants of alien cults. It's bracketed here with Kohanim, priests, suggesting that the officiants of the cult of Yahweh were joining forces with their pagan counterparts in syncretistic practices, as the Book of Kings reports.
So these Chemarim, it's just a word for pagan priests.
Yes.
All right. And them that worship the host of heaven upon the housetops, and them that worship and that swear by the Lord, and that swear by Malcham.
Or Milcom, we've heard that one before.
Yes.
So the Masoretic text does say Malcham, which means their king, but this is almost certainly a scribal substitution in order not to mention the name of the pagan deity, which would be weird considering they just had the name of a pagan deity. But okay, whatever. Whatever you guys say.
Maybe it's an especially egregious pagan deity, like you can't even say their name.
I mean, we have referenced Milcom in the past here, so let's talk about this a little bit. Let's see. The remnant of Baal hardly suggests a date after Josiah's reforms, but rather that Baalism will be stamped out without remainder. The first half of 1:5 refers to astrological cults. The word translated idolatrous priests, or just the pagan priests, always has this connotation in the Old Testament. In the Hebrew text, the ordinary word for priests is added to suggest that all classes of priests are condemned. Milcom was the god of the Ammonites. The Hebrew text vocalizes the word slightly differently so as to mean their king. Oh, so it's supposed to have like a weird double meaning?
Yeah.
But even if this is the correct reading, the context makes it probable that the reference is to the strange god worshipped alongside Yahweh. The real indictment is the negative one, that of apostasy from Yahweh.
Yeah. And them that are turned back from the Lord, and those that have not sought the Lord, nor inquired for him. Hold thy peace at the presence of the Lord God, for the day of the Lord is at hand. For the Lord hath prepared a sacrifice, he hath bid his guests. And it shall come to pass in the day of the Lord's sacrifice that I will punish the princes and the king's children and all such as are clothed with strange apparel.
Yeah, so of course, meaning foreign apparel.
Right.
Now the thing about the slaughter in verse 7,
Yeah.
or the sacrifice.
Yeah.
So the Hebrew means both slaughter and feast, and Zephaniah intends the former, so slaughter, while playing on the latter as he goes on to represent God inviting guests to the slaughter feast.
Right. So like.
So it sounds like
it starts off as he's going to kill everything, right? And then
it's
he
kind
clarifies this as a slaughter or a sacrifice where he's inviting all these people, even king's children, right? So like the idea is that no matter what station you are in society, you're not exempt from this absolute destruction that is being predicted.
Yeah, and it's kind of the way it's portrayed is like a cult ritual.
Mm-hmm.
We have this sacrifice and this meal.
Yeah, though strange that they would specify children because you can't put children through the fire.
Oh yeah, that's one of the bad things.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it says the sons of the kings.
Oh, so you can sacrifice the sons of kings, but not the sons of anyone else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's usually sometimes they do.
They got to wait for them to be an adult first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone else gets screwed, and the sons of royalty get a pass. So perhaps this is a good deal.
All right. In the same day, also, will I punish all those that leap on the threshold, which fill their masters' houses with violence and deceit.
Yeah, apparently, so this appears to have been a pagan practice when entering sanctuaries. An etiology for it is referred to in 1 Samuel 5:5.
Oh, neat. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord, that there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gate, and a howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills. Howl, ye inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the merchant people are cut down. All they that bear silver are cut off. I'm assuming Maktesh is like a trading city, trading town.
So in verse 11, you mean? Or is that in verse 10? Okay.
Yes, verse 11.
Yeah, so wail, you who dwell in the ravine, for the people of traders is destroyed. All weighers of silver are cut off. So the ravine, this would have to be a valley running through Jerusalem, perhaps the valley of Ben Hinnom, just west of the walls of the city, which would be Gehenna.
Right.
That's where
the human sacrifices are supposed to happen.
Yeah. As
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly, as portrayed by the Bible.
Yeah.
But is there any historical evidence that those sacrifices actually were made, or is it just?
I don't actually think so. I think that there's evidence of a cultic site there of some kind.
Yeah, and vultures are still there too. So who knows what happened to the remains?
Yeah, so that's the thing that you got to worry about. Those vultures.
There remains? I don't know if the area is like suitable for the remains to stay. Is all I'm saying.
The thing is,
unless they were buried.
Right.
Also, if you burnt them,
the bones would still
should.
It's incredibly difficult to cremate bones.
Agreed.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't know why you agreed. Like, do you have a lot of experience cremating?
Oh, my mom.
Bones? Okay.
My mom had gotten cremated.
Oh yeah.
I asked questions. I'm stupid like that.
Yeah. Anyways, and it shall come to pass at that time that I will search Jerusalem with candles, and punish the men that are settled on their lees, that say in their heart, the Lord will not do good, neither will he do evil. Therefore their goods shall become a booty, and their houses a desolation. They shall also build houses, but not inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards, but not drink the wine thereof. So this returns to that curse.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It does.
Yep. The great day of the Lord is near.
The way the way it was phrased, also, especially in yours about the consumption of these things.
Yeah.
That would have been closer to the curse. It's not the curse, but it would have been closer.
I think that's directly from there. Plant vineyards, but shall not drink the wine
this
thereof.
one, yeah, but I'm talking about earlier on in the chapter.
Oh, yeah. The great day of the Lord is near. It is near and hasteth greatly. Even the voice of the day of the Lord. The mighty man shall cry there bitterly. That day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, a day of the trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers. And I will bring distress upon men, that they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against the Lord, and their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as the dung. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath. But the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. For he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. And that's the end of chapter 1.
Hey, if you guys are enjoying the stream so far, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't, all that good stuff.
Share it with your friends, family, neighbors, all of those who are supposed to die in the day of the Lord.
Which means basically everybody except for the Jews. So
And the dead people. I mean, I don't know how they're going to share.
Even if you know someone who is a Jew, you might want to share it with them anyway. Because
yeah, you should do that. Also, all the likes and all the shares, all the engagement, all the people that are chatting, it does help us because more engagement does equal more views on YouTube.
Yes.
Even dislike.
Also, that also helps.
Feel free and copy the link.
Yeah.
There's an HTML.
Write it down by hand.
I'll write it. I'll read it off for you. Oh wait,
No, oh my
that's
God,
my
no.
studio stream link.
No.
Oh my God, no would be funny.
Okay, so I have some commentary here. The first 3 verses of chapter 2 probably belong here,
at the
in
end
chapter 1, rather than to the collection of pronouncements against other nations that the rest of the chapter in chapter 2. So that's the commentary basically.
Great, amazing. All right, so on to chapter 2 then. Gather together. Yes, gather. Oh, shameless nation, before the decree takes effect, before the day passes away like chaff, before there comes upon you the burning anger of the Lord, before there comes upon you the day of the anger of the Lord.
So this nation is supposed to be Judah.
Yeah, it's like you better get your shit together and get over here before Judgment Day comes.
Yeah.
Seek the Lord, all you humble of the land, who do his just commands. Seek righteousness, seek humility. Perhaps you may be hidden on the day of the anger of the Lord. That's how he's going to protect you.
Yeah, even though in the previous chapter he just said that literally everyone, all things, fishes in the sea.
Oh, but they're not righteous, those fishes in the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe this is more sarcastic than genuine.
Maybe. Let's find out. Let's see how it ends. Maybe we're told. For Gaza.
So, now we are getting into like this attack on the nations.
Okay. Attack on the nations proper. All right.
Yeah, this is verse 4 through 15 is...
Yeah, I see a lot of places being named here.
Yeah, so it says in Eerdmans, the 3 larger prophetic books, Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel, each contain a section of several chapters comprising a collection of prophecies against several non-Israelite nations. Zephaniah is almost unique among the shorter prophetic books in containing a similar, though much shorter, collection in the middle section of the book. Other books contain prophecies against particular nations, e.g. Obadiah against Edom, but the only other example of a group of prophecies against a number of nations in the shorter prophetic books is the collection at the beginning of Amos, which is in any case distinctive in that the series leads to a climax in the prophecy of judgment against Israel herself. The prophecies against the nations in Zephaniah, too, are in some cases abrupt to the point of obscurity, raising the suspicion that there's been a loss of material in the course of transmission. The prophecy against Ethiopia lacks any indictment as a basis for the sentence pronounced on it. Verse 11 stands out from the rest of the passage in that it's addressed to all the nations and appears to envisage a universal recognition of Yahweh as implicitly the only real God. It's noteworthy that this acknowledgement of Yahweh is to be made by each nation in its own homeland. That verse appears to be an isolated saying, perhaps included here because it comes under the general heading of prophecies against other nations. The remainder of the section can be divided clearly into three distinct prophecies. The first is 4 through 7. It's directed against the Philistines, who are directly addressed with the characteristic which more commonly opens prophetic judgment sayings. The word for at the beginning of verse 4 may be an editorial link with the previous section, suggesting that the universality of the coming judgment is one motive for the appeal to seek Yahweh while there's still time.
Kind of looking over this, it seems like, how modern day people, especially in the U.S., like when they complain about other countries, they can just rattle off things that they don't like about other countries, but they're really quick and it's never really in depth. And honestly, those things that they say could be applied to a whole bunch of countries.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like one of those people is ranting here.
Why? Yeah. X always steals things.
Yeah. X always steals things. Y always takes her gerbs and stuff like that.
Well, there's more here. So we get a mention of the Cherethites later on.
All right.
And the Cherethites are a group within the Philistines who probably trace their origin to Crete. Right? We don't really hear about them much.
Yeah.
Now, verses 8 through 10 contain a prophecy against the Moabites and Ammonites, whose ancestry was traditionally traced to Lot, Abraham's nephew.
Yeah, so they're going down that kind of road. They're splitting them all up.
Yeah. And verses 13 through 15 contain the final prophecy in the series, probably as a climax directed as it is against Assyria, at the time the principal enemy of Judah. Although, strictly speaking, Assyria was situated to the northeast rather than the north of Judah, the only practical approach to Judah was directly from the north, so that we get reference to Assyria being to the north. As we've gotten in other books, too. Even the Babylonians are referred to as coming from the north.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's where those enemies are, and also to the south, and also to the west and the east.
Enemies all around.
Yeah, enemies everywhere.
I'll be providing commentary from Alter, and I'll turn back to Eerdmans just for verse 13.
Okay, sounds good. Then I will continue here. So now we're on to verse 4. Yep. For Gaza shall be deserted, and Ashkelon shall become a desolation. Ashdod's people shall be driven out at noon, and Ekron shall be uprooted.
So Gaza shall
different
be...
ways of saying they're gonna leave. I'm gonna make them leave.
So there's untranslatable wordplay in this verse.
Oh, great.
It says, it starts with Gaza shall be abandoned and ends with Ekron shall be uprooted. The wordplay is at the beginning, Azuvah, and at the end, Ekron te'aker.
So, saying that it's untranslatable, is it just like that the form is weird for poetic purposes, or is it?
It's like more like there's alliteration, basically, that occurs in the Hebrew.
You can't get the full meaning out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Woe to you inhabitants of the sea coast, you nation of the Cherethites.
Mm-hmm.
The word of the Lord is against you, O Canaan, land of the Philistines, and I will destroy you until no inhabitant is left. And you, O sea coast, shall be pastures with meadows for shepherds and folds for flocks. The seacoast shall become the possession of the remnant of the house of Judah, on which they shall graze. And in the houses of Ashkelon they shall lie down at evening.
So, where it says,
I'm going to finish off the verse. For the Lord their God will be mindful of them and restore their fortunes.
So, this bit is a strict bit of dehumanization, where they say they'll graze their flocks. Right? That's these people grazing like animals. And when they say they shall lie down, Alter translates this as they shall bed down because the verb used is for the bedding down of animals.
Oh, okay.
The reference is still to the flocks.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and the thing about the seacoast, I remember, I forget which book, maybe it was Isaiah. It was an earlier prophet that we read that mentioned the seacoast as one of as basically one of the nations, even though.
Yeah, I know we've gotten reference to that before.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which one it was.
I know there was one reference to the islands, wasn't there? One or two.
I think so, yeah.
As well. Yeah.
There's these really obscure, kind of obscure-ish references to the seacoast or the islands, island nations. Was that Ezekiel? Okay, it may have been Ezekiel. That's perfectly possible.
Yeah.
All right. Let's continue on here. So on to verse 8. I have heard the taunts of Moab and the revilings of the Ammonites, how they have taunted my people and made boasts against their territory.
Yeah, so where it says made boasts.
Yeah, so I'm guessing this is the whole classic, like, you're taunting someone, like,
yeah.
You're nothing.
Well, there's a linguistic thing here. The Hebrew says merely made big, but this is in all likelihood an ellipsis for made their mouths big, which is to say gloated.
Huh, okay. I mean, the thing is, it wouldn't have to be making their mouths big. It could just be, like, to lift yourself up over others.
Mm-hmm.
That would also be gloating.
Yeah.
All right. Continuing on here. Therefore, as I live, declares the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, Moab shall become like Sodom, and the Ammonites like Gomorrah, a land possessed by nettles and salt pits, and a waste forever. The remnant of my people shall plunder them, and the survivors of my nation shall possess them. This shall be their lot in return for their pride, because they taunted and boasted against the people of the Lord of hosts. Yeah, this is what they get.
Oh, yeah.
They get the hellfire rained upon them, effectively.
Yeah.
The Lord will be awesome against them, for he will famish. Oh, here's an interesting one. He will famish all the gods of the earth, and to him shall bow down, each in its place, all the lands of the nations.
Now, when you says he will famish all the gods of the earth, Alter translates this as he holds sway over all the gods of the earth, and there's a reason for it. The verb raza in the received text is problematic. The meaning of this root is thin, and so for hold sway.
Okay, gotcha.
The meaning is thin. And so some imagine that it means Yahweh has shriveled the gods of the nations. But that sounds odd, and nowhere else does this verbal stem occur as a transitive verb with a direct object. It's more plausible to amend it to rada, D and Z being phonetically close and interchangeable between Hebrew and Aramaic.
Huh.
But yes, the idea, I mean, these other gods, presumably they're false gods of the earth. Though there have been parts of the Bible that talk about other gods existing, right? So,
yeah, especially. So this one, yeah, that's a really interesting verse. that they would have that. But either way, yeah, they're not those other gods wouldn't be getting what they need either way.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, everyone's gonna bow down to Yahweh instead.
Yeah.
So you also, O Cushites, shall be slain by my sword.
So
if they're saying you also, are they saying that those gods were slain by the sword?
Oh, no. You also, you Cushites. Now, these are the Nubians dwelling south of Egypt.
Right.
God's reaching out to the north in the next verse makes this a geographically comprehensive assault on the nations.
Okay.
And this is a different section here. 10 and 11 are presented as a paragraph.
Oh, I see.
In Altar, where
this one's just on its own.
12 through 15 is presented in prose.
Oh, weird. Okay. And he will stretch out his hand against the north and destroy Assyria, and he will make Nineveh a desolation, a dry waste like desert.
So
that's the reference we were talking to before.
Yeah, this is verse 13. It's not clear whether the reference in verse 13 is to the nation Assyria or to the city of Ashur, which would make a more exact parallel to the subsequent mention of Nineveh. Ashur was destroyed in 615 BC, and Nineveh in 612 BC.
Well, if Nineveh is the capital of Assyria, right, then if you're saying, and destroy Assyria, and he will make Nineveh a desolation, it's like two different ways of saying the same thing. And they've done that before in the Bible.
Whereas if you have it as Ashur and Nineveh,
you have these two.
You have like a chronology presented, basically.
Yeah. Not really much to say on that one.
Yeah.
Herds shall lie down in her midst, all kinds of beasts, even the owl and the hedgehog shall lodge in their capitals.
So, the owl and the hedgehog.
So there are a few different readings here.
Hedgehog.
Yeah.
We have the jackdaw and owl in Altar.
Huh. Do you have something different, Landon? In verse 14 there?
Verse 14, it says, it talked about the pelican and the hedgehog.
The pelican.
Yeah. So
right.
They're not good with birds.
And it says also that it could also be or owl or jackdaw. It would be the
jackdaw. Okay.
So Altar notes that the precise identification of these wild birds is uncertain.
I'll say that's pretty uncertain.
Also, keep reading this verse.
I will. It's a pretty interesting verse already. Because I do have some other readings there. It says that for the Hebrew, where it says all kinds of beasts, also the Hebrew beasts of every nation, and then the identity of the animals rendered owl and hedgehog is uncertain. So yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So I'm going to finish off the verse here real quick. A voice shall hoot in the window. Devastation will be on the threshold. For her cedar work will be laid bare.
Okay, so where yours says devastation, Altar says the raven on the threshold. Here's it's assumed in the translation that Chorev, which has a far more common homonym that means dry place,
I think
is the equivalent of Orev, raven.
I think that the Old Testament survey really undersold the amount of stuff we didn't actually know about this.
Yeah.
About this text.
Now, as for the cedar wood being laid bare, the meaning of the two Hebrew words is not entirely certain. The unusual noun arza is assumed to be derived from Erez, cedar, and would thus refer to the cedarwood paneling of Nineveh's palatial buildings. The verb ira means he laid bare, but as elsewhere, the third person masculine singular is probably the equivalent of the passive. So this entire verse here, verse 14, is like unclear, and any translation is basically conjectural.
Great. I mean, I like the whole like owl and then it says hoot.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I like
I
that.
want to see a pelican hoot.
The screech
too.
owls shall hoot in the window.
As they all should. Klaus, to answer the question, I don't like the other countries did have prophets. They had their own oracles. But I don't think that they went and preached against other nations to other nations, and even in the Bible, that doesn't really happen much. I think there's that one case that was oh my God, what's his name? Was it Jonah? Was that the guy who actually went out to a different nation to preach against them?
Yeah.
Yeah. But most of the time they stayed kind of close by at home and preached against them while they were invading. I am not sure if oracles or other prophets at the time for other countries would have been the same way. It was an occupation, after all. You can get hired as a prophet, especially for kings. So I'm not sure if they.
Which you would know if you read the alphabet of Ben Sira.
The alphabet of Ben Sira. You got to learn everything from the alphabet of Ben Sira.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can't learn from that book. It's just it's the best.
From Alpha to Omega, yeah, it's the thing to read.
So why don't you go ahead and finish this chapter, Lawrence?
Will do. This is the exultant city that lived securely, that said in her heart, I am, and there is no one else. What a desolation she has become, a lair for wild beasts. Everyone who passes by her hisses and shakes his fist.
Yeah, the shaking of the fist is a mocking gesture.
Yeah, and so is the hissing.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And the waving of the hands in contempt, yes.
So that was the end of chapter 2. And do you hear something?
I do hear something. Landon, do you hear something?
There's some kind of vaguely.
Behold, I am your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and I want to let all you heathens and sinners know that I support this wonderful episode of Atheist Sunday School. Lawrence and Reuben try their very best to bring you the true glory of the Bible, and they need your help. They have provided links to their Patreon page and other social media just for you. Once again, my name is Jesus Christ, and this is Milwaukee Atheists. The Lord is with them. God bless.
Oh my God, Jesus!
My goodness.
Thank you for that. I never really expect those.
Wow.
Did-
That's amazing that Jesus is still showing up on occasion.
Yeah, right.
Never knows.
It's incredible. And once again, he has taken Reuben away. Reuben has disappeared. Perhaps he is off to find revelation, as is tradition.
Or he's been raptured. You never know. Maybe they got the wrong list or something.
Or they misspelled his name or something. That's probably what happened there. They were like, we got the wrong Reuben. It's like, what are we gonna do? Send this guy to hell now? Like, can't just promise him eternal happiness and then just take it away from him. That'd be rude.
Well, I don't know how well the Lord's IT department is doing these days. It seems
a little disorganized.
That's a question for another time.
You know what they're gonna do is
Oh,
they're
my
gonna have.
Oh, there you are.
Oh yeah, they're gonna have these ugly angels.
Oh yeah,
who-
that's right.
Yeah, they have the face of a leopard with tusks of a boar,
Yeah.
and
Kind of on fire.
they'll just fly me around for a few days and then drop me off somewhere.
No, just right in the pit of hell. Like you said, there you go. You dizzy yet? And hopefully you are.
Yeah. So let's talk about this chapter before Landon gets into
It's
it.
chapter 3.
Yeah, chapter 3. So although this section probably contains several originally distinct prophetic sayings, they're combined in the present form of the text into a sequence in which there is no natural break until the end of verse 13. The beginning of the passage is clearly demarcated from the prophecies against the foreign nations, since it is evident from verse 2, 4, and 5 that the city denounced in verse 1 is Jerusalem. Read in isolation from its sequel, however, the opening verse could be taken as the denunciation of Nineveh implied in 2:15, And this is how it is, in fact, taken by the ancient Syrian translator, who prefaces it with, and says, this is a good illustration of the unusual difficulty encountered in disentangling the original prophetic sayings in the book. The mistaken identification of the city with Nineveh was helped by the Hebrew words translated defiled, which is homonymous with the commoner word meaning redeemed, and oppressing, which is identical with the proper name Jonah. These together suggested an allusion to Nineveh's redemption from destruction as a result of its repentance in response to Jonah's preaching.
Yeah, remember in Jonah when he was all mad that God wasn't killing everybody?
Yeah.
That was pretty
Yeah.
funny.
However,
He was mad. He was mad that God was going to send them there, and then once God sends them there and they repent, he's like, hey,
Yeah.
God.
yeah, but such an exegesis is shown to be false by the introductory characteristically opening a prophetic pronouncement of judgment, and by the clear indication of the rebelliousness of the city and its inhabitants in the following verses. The clear references to Yahweh as the God of the city in verses 2 and 5 indicate that only Jerusalem can be envisaged, and this is reinforced by the mention of prophets, priests, and Torah in verse 4. The indictment is fundamentally that of rebellion against Yahweh, characterized more specifically by the corruption of the secular and religious authorities who abuse their position to exploit the weaker citizens. Yahweh, by contrast, is presented as a just judge, administering justice every morning, for which see 2 Samuel 15:2 and Psalm 101:8, despite the shamelessness of the corrupt officials.
As is tradition.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, so yeah, we can hop into chapter 3. On to
All
you,
right,
Landon.
so chapter 3, which we're going to be Woe to Jerusalem and the Nations and the restoration of Israel. So,
And tell me when you get to the end of verse 5.
okay. So I'll do the first 5 verses. Chapter 3. Woe to her who is rebellious and defiled, a tyrannical city. She heeded no voice. She accepted no instruction. She did not trust in the Lord. She did not draw near to her God. Her princes within her are roaring lions. Her judges are wolves at evening. They leave nothing for the morning.
So I'm
Her
guessing.
prophets are reckless, treacherous men. Her priests have profaned the sanctuary. They have done violence to the law. The
So,
Lord
sorry.
is righteous. Oh,
Sorry, yeah, I'm just gonna say one thing. So it seems like what they're going for is that even like the highest officials here are just, you can't really trust them.
Yeah, treacherous men
Yeah,
profane
no-
the sanctuary. They have done violence to the law. The Lord is righteous within her. They will do no injustice. Every morning he brings his justice to light. He does not fail, but the unjust knows no shame.
I think that was verse 5.
Yeah. So the exegesis of verses 6 through 13 is rendered difficult by textual and lexical obscurities, and by the possibility that originally distinct prophetic sayings have been adapted to form the present sequence. As it stands, verse 6 seems to revert to the theme of Yahweh's judgment of foreign nations, while verse 7 expresses his hope that Judah might take warning from this, a hope that was to be disappointed. The command, wait, at the beginning of verse 8 is plural in the Hebrew, but it's not clear to whom it's addressed. Generally, this word is used in contexts implying expectations of a favorable divine intervention. If this is the meaning here, it is most probable that the encouragement is addressed to the faithful remnant depicted in verses 12 through 13, and that the intervention for which they are encouraged to wait is a particular instance of divine judgment that will result in the removal of their unjust rulers. The sequence of thought however, is not straightforward. Verse 8 reverts once more to the theme of universal judgment, while verse 9 and 10 appear to introduce the concept of the conversion of Gentiles to Yahweh, although my scattered ones might alternatively suggest a reference to the Jewish diaspora.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. Some exegetes think that verse 9 and 10 in particular are a separate saying. The authenticity of 12 through 13, on the other hand, is supported by the similar material in 2-3. So that's what I have to say about this upcoming section. Let me know when you get to the end of verse 13.
All right. So verse 6. So I'm quoting there. I have cut off the nations. Their corner towers are in ruins. I have made their streets desolate. No one passing by their cities laid the waste without a man, without an inhabitant. I said, surely you'll receive me, accept instruction, so her dwelling will not be cut off, according to all that I have appointed concerning her. But they were eager to corrupt her in all their deeds. So verse 8. Therefore, wait for me, declares the Lord, for the day when I will rise up to the prey. Indeed, my decision is to gather nations, to assemble the kingdoms, to pour out on them my indignation, all my burning anger, for all the earth will be devoured by fire of my zeal. Wow. Getting really into here.
You know, it seems kind of weird. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. So it starts off in verse 6 about like, I have cut off nations, have destroyed their streets. Their towns are demolished. Then it gives Israel pretty much like a way to save itself. Oh, sorry. Never mind. It gives the city like a way. It gave the city a way to save itself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But because they were still bad, then he goes on to say that he destroyed them. Which is, I don't know, it's just kind of weird to me.
Yeah, so this is some of the, textual and lexical obscurities mentioned.
Okay, it just to me it just seemed like a weird poetic style, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I said before, there are people who are in great disagreement about the authenticity.
Actually, hold on. No. The last section is about it's more in like the future tense. So it's all the earth shall be consumed. My judgment is to gather in nations. For the day I rise. Wait for me, said the Lord, for the day I rise as witness.
Mm-hmm.
So that's weird.
Yeah.
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 All right. So can you go on with verse 9?
Good.
For then I will give to the prophets purified lips, that all of them may call upon the name of the Lord to serve him shoulder to shoulder.
So
From beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, my worshipers, my dispersed ones, will bring my offering.
So there's one thing I wanted to point out quick. So for then I will transform peoples with a pure language, is how Alter translates it. Now he says that this is an interesting idea, the pure language one, here, that perverse or harmful behavior is entrammeled with a corruption of language. A notion George Orwell would develop in a celebrated essay written during World War II about how Nazi totalitarianism had subverted the German language. Thus, the gift of a pure language is necessary so that the peoples can truly call to God. So yeah, you need a language that is free of the pollution. I don't know how to put it.
I know, but that Tower of Babel thing, that I mean, didn't God mess up language to begin with? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops.
Hashtag blame the Bible. So let's go on with verse 11, shall we?
Sure.
Yes.
In that day you will feel no shame because of all your deeds, by which you have rebelled against me. For then I will remove you from your midst, your proud, exalted ones, and you will never again be haughty on my holy mountain.
He's gonna get rid of everyone that's gotten too big for their britches.
Yeah. But I will leave amongst you a humble and lowly people, and they will take refuge in the name of the Lord. The remnant of Israel will do no wrong. Sure, we've heard that before. And tell no lies. Yeah, I've heard that before too. Nor will they have a deceitful tongue to be found in their mouths, for they shall feed and lie down with no one to make them tremble. Allegedly. Oh, sorry. It didn't say allegedly. I was just, how many times has the Bible sort of said, oh, I'll restore Israel and I will do all these great things, blah, 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 and they'll become my people again forever and ever, and I will not. And then
90 times.
Oh, just a whole bunch of times.
Yeah. Was that
anyway,
verse?
So we're at the end of 13.
Okay.
At the end of 13.
Okay. So let me talk about the final section of the book here. The summons to rejoice in verse 14 marks a new departure. It's clearly addressed to the Jerusalem community, and the grounds for joy are spelled out in verse 15. The divine judgment in the form of enemy attacks has been taken away, and Yahweh has demonstrated his presence as king in their midst, a traditional belief, see Micah 3:11, Jeremiah 14:9, with the corollary that their security is guaranteed. The same belief underlies verse 16 and 17. The fact that God's presence in the city now guarantees salvation, in contrast to that judgment in verse 5, indicates that these verses refer to a period beyond the judgment and are addressed presumably to the purified remnant of verse 12 and 13 who have survived the judgment. The content of these verses is very similar in tone to the message of 2nd Isaiah. Note particularly the repeated affirmations that the community no longer has any need of fear. Once again, the lexical and textual uncertainties make the interpretation of the end of 17 and 18 obscure. 19 and 20 deal in general terms with the theme of reversal of fortune. For the beginning of 20 predicts a return from exile and dispersion, while verse 19 and 20 both indicate a change in the status of Judah among the nations. It's hardly surprising that many scholars have regarded the closing verses of the book as post-exilic. What has emerged with greater clarity in recent years is the redactional unity of chapter 3, suggesting that the last 7 verses should not be seen as a postscript, but rather as an integral part of the composition of the book. This probably implies that, as in the case of most of the prophetic books, the final redaction took place in the early post-exilic period. At the time, the possibility must not be ruled out. At the same time, the possibility must not be ruled out that the prophet himself envisaged that a purified remnant would survive the coming judgment and experience a new area of salvation beyond it.
You could take that view. I wouldn't, but you could take that view.
Right.
Yes.
And that's the end of Eerdman's commentary on
All
Zephaniah.
right. So we have the final paragraph of Zephaniah.
Which is apparently likely a later edition.
Yep. Post-exilic.
Verse 14. So let's see if it's like a different tone of so forth. It starts off. Shout for joy, O daughter of Zion. Shout in triumph, O Israel. Rejoice and exult with all your heart, O daughter of Jerusalem. The Lord has taken away his judgments against you. He has cleared away your enemies. For the umpteenth time, it will probably stick it back. But oh no, that's sorry. That was my commentary. The King of Israel, the Lord, is in your midst. Who will fear disaster no more? In that day, it will be said to Jerusalem, "Do not be afraid, O Zion. Do not let your hands fall limp. The Lord your God is in your midst, a victorious warrior." Ooh. He will exult over you with joy. He will be quiet in his love. He will rejoice over you with shouts of joy.
So, you had he will be quiet in his love.
Yes.
So this is interesting here. So I have he renews his love. So the Masoretic text reads Yasharish Behavato, I think. He is silent in his love, but it is unclear why the living God should be silent. The translation follows the reading of the Septuagint, which appears to have used a Hebrew text that showed Yeshadesh Avato. The Hebrew graphemes for Resh and what's the other one for D?
Dalit.
Dalit are being quite close.
So
that
what does the Septuagint say with regard to this? Because, by the way,
I can check.
While you're looking that up, mine, the commentary on Be Quiet says, with some ancient versions, renew rather than be quiet.
Okay. So I see.
The
So
KJV says rest.
that sounds closer to quiet, but I guess it's a weird mix between the two, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's renewal.
That's nice.
Yeah. All right. You can continue reading. This is what Zephaniah 3:16 there, so I can check.
Actually, it's 3:17.
Oh,
It's in
okay.
the middle, the Be Quiet in His love is in the middle of 17, according to this particular translation.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because it said, the thing, do not be afraid, don't let your land fall limp. But then 17 says, God will be in our midst, a victorious warrior. He will exalt with you, will rejoice. He will be quiet in his love, which kind of seems weird.
It does. Yeah.
I would say he will renew in his love, but this is because he seems to keep exalting and saying never again, and then smashing them because they've been naughty. That seems to be the theme of these mini books. So shall I go on with verse 18?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I will gather those who grieve about the appointed feasts. They will come to you, O Zion. The reproach of exile is a burden on them. Behold!
Behold! We got to behold. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yes. I finally got it. I was hoping we'd get a behold. I am going to deal at that time with all your oppressors. I will save the lame. I will gather the outcast. I will turn their shame into praise and renown in all the earth. At that time, I will bring you in. Even at that time, I will gather you together. Indeed, I will give you renown and praise amongst all the people of the earth. When I restore your fortunes before your eyes, says the Lord.
And that is the end of the book of Zephaniah.
So the Septuagint does say renew.
All right.
Yeah. Kainier se in te agapese autu. Yeah, in his love.
So, everyone,
Infirmed.
final thoughts on the book of Zephaniah.
Well, we started it today, so my thoughts are pretty much in line with everything we said.
But again, it's one of these things where it's naughty, shame on you. I'm going to smack you down, but then I'm going to do it with these other nations. But then I'm going to get mad at those other nations for doing what I wanted to do, and I'll smack them down and lift you up and exalt you forever and ever and ever, and everything will be happy until the next time I do this.
Yeah.
It seems to be this thing is got to. I mean, it's got to become tiresome. So I wonder, what did the contemporaries of this work, however it was at that time, think of this kind of stuff?
I mean, the thing is, considering that from what we can tell from reading it, it seems like it is just the most generic prophet out there. It doesn't contain anything that's that unique, honestly. It's just like a very short form of every other prophet that we've read. Like Ezekiel had like some insane visions, right? Like
Yeah.
that was his thing. Like he amped it up a lot.
I can't tell you what was super distinct about this.
No,
Me
there,
neither.
there was nothing really distinct about this. And after reading this, I have no idea why Zephaniah was chosen for the Apocalypse of Zephaniah. Like, that book was so much more interesting.
Yeah, this did not help answer any of those questions from the missing 6-ish pages plus some
Right,
gaps.
you're right. All those pages that we just didn't have, which is a bummer. But yeah, I have no idea how. No, that definitely did not help us at all.
Yeah.
Definitely did not.
And, you know, it's a short book. It's a generic book. It doesn't add anything.
Yeah, I don't
So what
don't
can
know.
you take away from it?
Yeah. What did you learn today, Landon?
I learned that yet again, God smacks around Israel and the Jews, and then does it by the other nations, and then gets mad at other nations for doing what God wants to do, and tells Israel, "Hey, you'll be restored, and everything will be hunky dory." And that's kind of the. So it leads me to believe this is another one of these books that's almost like a rounding error in the whole Word of the Lord stuff. You know, what can one say?
I could say
for
that
this sort of thing.
remember how the Apocalypse of Zephaniah was paired with other readings?
Yeah, the Apocalypse of Elijah.
I'm wondering how this was originally paired before it got clumped where it is.
Well, the thing about like canon position and stuff like that, it does differ from tradition to tradition. Generally speaking, like you would have them basing it on like some kind of pretense. Like you'd have it either be by chronology, which was the most common one, honestly. But of course, as we know, it doesn't go with the chronology.
No, but I would even say from a writing standpoint that where would it fit in the narrative even? You know?
Yeah, it would fit
Right.
in it would fit in before the exile.
Yeah.
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 It
But
would fit in.
also it has some stuff post-exile.
Yeah,
Very
the very end there.
brief.
Yeah, and also it's striking how contradictory different parts of the book are. Like, it literally opens with this long diatribe about how God's going to destroy everything. There's going to be no exception, right? And then by the end, it's like, oh, but, you know, the righteous, modest people, that they'll be fine. you know?
They don't count as people. I guess.
Almost like a copy editor sort of said, we can't, end on this downer note, so let's add some stuff so that people could at least take refuge and hope and keep coming back.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about Kohelet, considering it was his grandson that edited it in the beginning and the end. It was his notes. I remember.
No, you're thinking of Ben Sira.
Yeah, you're thinking
I
of
am?
Ben Sira.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying that happens quite a bit, where you get maybe a later generation adding something more pleasant
Yeah.
because of how unpleasant most of the opinions were. They're like, but he really meant good things, you know. He didn't mean bad things by this.
Right.
Yeah.
That was it's a very generic prophet, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
gonna give him 1 generic out of 10.
Yeah.
Like the thing is, it's not bad. It's not good. It's I wouldn't even say it gets up to mediocre.
I'll
but-
give it
Just generic.
I
a
guess
2 out of 10.
Yeah, two,
Maybe a
3.
3.
Yeah, I guess 3 because it's not necessarily bad,
Yeah.
but it's
I guess
Dull.
the
Really
textual and lexical difficulties make it more interesting.
that is true. That is true.
That's true.
And our commentary spiced it up.
As it always does.
Yeah. So next week we'll be covering a shorter book, the
Yeah.
Book of Haggai.
Yeah,
and
I'm-
probably will have a shorter episode than today.
Absolutely. I'm gonna be ordering. I guess I could order the like dual commentary on Haggai
And Zechariah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should, because we need it for Zechariah anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
You got some Zechariah and some Malachi coming up, and then we get into the Apocrypha.
Well, well, then we get into the
Okay,
Jesus
some
book.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. Classic.
Wonderful story.
But yeah, so we're not too far away from the end of the Testament here, Old Testament.
Yeah, we're almost done. And, it's been a long, strange trip.
Yeah. For the Old Testament.
Yeah.
For those who are looking at five more Old Testament episodes, perhaps.
And then we'll be getting into the New Testament.
Yeah, and that's when I will finally be useful. And actually, I think by that time, I might be done with my third semester of ancient Greek.
Ah,
So that's something, right?
yeah.
That's something.
It is something.
I mean, I guess I'm currently in my third semester, so
Yeah,
it's already
but-
something.
But I thought they all spoke Aramaic. That was what that movie said.
Hey, they can say a whole lot of stuff, but when it's written in Greek, I can help.
When are they going to send you back in time for full immersion, Lawrence?
One of these days, they've been working on that
Oh,
school project for a long
oh
time.
good. Good. I look forward to meeting Socrates.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, well,
we won't be writing the Third Testament, but we will be covering the Book of Mormon.
That's true. That's right here.
oh yeah, that's that's some really good stuff
Book of Mormon.
there. It's pretty
And
fun.
It's not the Third Testament. It's a New Testament.
Oh, the newest.
it's another
Testament.
Yeah, another testament. So there's I saw this meme on Facebook about there being like a picture of like Ric Flair in the Book of Mormon, and I was like, what are you talking about? So then I decided to take a look at the pictures in the Book of Mormon, and it does start off with a lot of pictures, and it was a very real photo. Let me see if I can pull it up here real quick, but it does look exactly like Ric Flair. I was actually kind of shocked. Yeah, here it is. I don't know.
I'll do what I can.
Should I can go up to the camera.
You could try.
But yeah, it looks exactly like Ric Flair.
Let me see that. Oh my. That does look like Ric Flair.
Show Landon
I
after
must
that.
say that
That's way too close. Back up, buddy. Keep backing up. Keep going. It's having trouble focusing this close, but they kind of
Oh,
can
there it
see it.
goes.
Yeah, I think that's as good as you're gonna get. You got too close. I honestly think you could have stayed in your seat
Yeah. But
yeah, the
or pick the middle
Church
camera.
of
That one's
Jesus Christ
better.
of Latter-day Saints. They've got some really humdinger books.
But yeah, that's
I must say.
that is Ric Flair looks exactly like him.
yeah. So, if you enjoyed today's stream, like, share, comment, subscribe, send it to your friends, family, neighbors. Get them ready for the Book of Haggai next week. You can check us out on Patreon, where you can be joined into that t-shirt giveaway, or you can just buy a t-shirt like the pinned merchandise there. You could also be on the show like Landon is.
You could be like Landon, and everyone wants to be like
Come
Landon.
and join me.
Yeah. If you become a patron, it's possible that you'll become an astrophysicist.
It
We
is.
aren't
You
gonna-
know, it's been known to happen before.
Yeah. So, if you
We
want
haven't proven a causal link,
yeah.
but
we
there's
have a correlation
Yeah.
between being an astrophysicist and being a patron of Milwaukee Atheists.
Exactly.
Some weird connection between us and Antarctica too. We're not sure what's up with that.
Yeah, we're still trying to become the most popular show on the
That's
continent
where all the subs
of
are from,
Antarctica.
guys. Come
Antarctica.
on.
Got it. Okay.
It'll
I mean,
eventually.
compete with Carell because he's also the #1 talk show host in Antarctica. So There you go.
Competition.
Yeah. So if you want to support us in a different way, we have an Amazon wish list full of books that we can use for this show or just for our own entertainment or information.
Or for books that they're for videos that we will be making, the long form ones. Use them as sources.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They'll read the books for you
Exactly.
and explain it to you and give you the cliff notes.
Yeah. And
If you
beyond,
become a patron, then you can get the transcript, so you can actually pretend like you did scholarship.
yeah. We also have Facebook and Twitter. Those are free. You can send in your diss tracks to milwaukeeatheist@gmail.com.
Diss me.
Yep. And Landon, do you have anything you want to tell to the people?
Well, I would say, continue to enjoy our favorite universe. There's all kinds of wonderful things happening out there in space, and there is a lunar eclipse coming up.
Oh.
But it's a deep partial, right? It's not quite total, but it gets pretty close. And frankly, actually, some of the interesting times when you see the lunar eclipse, again, the moon is passing through Earth's shadow, and when you see those things, it gets to be, I like it when you go from essentially the full eclipse to the partial one. This is on this is the eclipse of November 19th. And so you can see, you look up, partial lunar eclipse, November 19th. It is certainly, the entire eclipse is certainly visible to all of North America. And it's going to be, it'll be, when it's in the maximum spot, all but 3% of the moon will be in Earth's shadow. So there'll be a tiny little white edge on one side and go towards deeper stuff. And it depends upon the weather around the edge of the Earth as to how red the moon is, right? If there's lots of storms and smoke and so forth on the edge, then the reddish part of the moon will be even deeper redder. So when you see the color of the moon during the lunar eclipse, you're seeing the light of 1,000 sunrises and 1,000 sunsets around the world at that time. And whatever the weather was is in that spot will tell you whether it's light or dark. Of course, it could be cloudy too. So, but even
That
if
always
it's cloudy,
happens.
rest assured, the eclipse is happening anyway.
I don't believe you.
Excellent. Well, if you want to see the eclipse, go outside.
And make sure to stare at the sun.
Just look at the thing again. Look at November 19th. Check out your weather stuff and check online for details and times.
All right.
Fantastic. And we
So-
got all of our shilling out of the way.
Yep. Join us on Friday for, was it the Apocalypse of Elijah?
Yes, I think it was the Apocalypse of Elijah.
Yeah, we will be reading that book,
Yep, Apocalypse of Elijah.
or at least part of it.
Yeah.
So, that being said,
We will
we'll see you on Friday, and then Sunday, and then Friday.
Landon was here
and
with us.
Sunday,
Landon's pretty cool.
Friday,
Thanks for coming, Landon.
Sunday.